Yo, what's happening? What's happening? What's going on? Peace to the family, man. Peace to the panel. Pseudo Killer's back at you one more again, man. We in here talking about this dopamine, man. You know what I mean? Dopamine and this, and how it plays in addiction. Um, it's a pretty good conversation, man. We've been talking about since earlier today. Me and Marcus and Juju, and now he shared a video with me, man, and it was pretty dope, man. You know what I mean? I think it's an important conversation for the family, and let's get right to it, yo. We're gonna wait till the people to pile in, man. We already know it's gonna be about 100 of y'all showing up today. You know what I'm saying? What's up, Taj? What's up, Miss Tiff? In the building. Introduce, man, who we got on the panel today, man. What's up, good Juju, bad Juju?
Peace. Peace to the panel.
Peace.
To the chat.
Pop that. Moving right along, man. What's happening with you? Chill. What's up, Marcus, man? You been all right?
Oh man, I'm good, man. Chilling, man. Enjoying this change in time. At least trying to a little bit. Threw me off for a hot second.
I think that's what's going on with me a little bit, man. I'm good, but it's like something do feel a little off, and I think it is that change in time. Like I don't know, feel a little tired, a little more tired today than usual, man. But yeah, man. Man, I appreciate that video you sent me, man. That junk, it was pretty deep.
Yeah, I've been on her for a hot second, man. She been that whole. It was eye awakening, that whole thing. She got it, like I said, she got the book out that even gets even more in detail to it, and it's it's a deep thing right there. You know what I mean? Considering the conversations we've had recently, I think this thing about addiction and dopamine and brain chemical reactions, I think it fits right along with where we at right now,
Yes, indeed. Yeah, man. I mean, we see it throughout the community, man. We see it in our homes, with our family and friends, So I think it's something everybody can pretty much relate to. Even like I said, just looking in the mirror, man, you can see some of what this lady was saying in your own lives, man. If you don't know which one I'm talking about, hold on, let me get the title of the video. It's called Dopamine Nation and the Neuroscience of Addiction with Anna Lemke. I think that's how you say her name. Y'all heard that?
Yes, Anna Lemke.
Yeah, Lemke. So yeah, if you get a chance sometime today, man, I know we'll probably put the link in there or whatever, but check her video out, man. It's very informative. What up, Miss Belisa? Miss Belicia? Miss Lisa?
Lisa.
Yeah, I'll just call her Lisa. I know I'll be messing it up. What's going on? Peace to you, man. We appreciate your support always, man. You always there, man. For sure. 100. But yeah, man, so yeah, we gonna get this in, man. What's the well, matter of fact, y'all want to wait for a little while, man, for the crowd to build up a little bit. How your day been, Juju? I know you got kind of tapped out a little minute ago. Your thing popped out of existence.
Man, I've been popping myself on and off for a minute. I don't know how I'm doing it though. I haven't figured it out. I'm knocking myself totally out the studio, and I'm not even pressed to leave studios.
How you got the premium? You got the premium laptop.
I roll my fingers across the mouse, and somewhere I'm out the studio. I was like, what did I do? I've done it 3 times already, but I just want to figure out how I'm doing it because I think that's a neat little magic trick. But
man, yeah, you got to learn how to do that. Apple can't be treating Apple any kind of way now. It'll take you up out of here. You know what I'm saying?
That's
man,
funny.
I think I did an excellent show yesterday, man. That was pretty dope, man. about them Colts and stuff, man. That was pretty good. If y'all ain't had a chance to check that out, man, make sure y'all go to Community of Skeptics and check that show out they did yesterday with Rick Ross. Um, yeah, about them Colts, man. That was pretty dope. That was pretty dope, man.
Yeah,
So,
it
you know,
was
we
it was
gotta
definitely very informative. It was definitely on point. Definitely a great show yesterday.
Are you talking about with Rick Allen Ross,
yes,
Yeah.
sir.
the
Yes,
original
ma'am.
OG?
The original.
He the original OG. He said when Rick Ross came out, he had to change it. He had to change it. I was like, dang.
Yeah, or change his website, right? Because the real Rick
Yeah,
Ross,
because he had a
yeah,
Rick Ross. But yeah, that
yeah,
was a pretty awesome show. Maybe I need to
yeah,
go
man.
try to find that and add that. But check out Rick Allen Ross speaking on Colts. And also he has a website,
Mm-hmm.
coltadvocate.com. I'm probably saying it wrong. For resources, you know,
Right, right.
for just all kind of resources and whatnot.
True indeed, man. He was talking about that Egyptian code everybody falling victim to, but we ain't gonna go too deep into that.
Yeah,
Not
sure, I
yet,
want to
anyway.
talk about it. I've been saying it's addictive. I've been calling it
this
a
addiction,
virus. I ain't call it
this
a
addiction,
drug, but it
man.
definitely fits more on the lines of some type of drug is giving them that pleasure response, but then it's
Yeah,
causing so
yeah,
much pain, just like some
yeah.
drugs, right?
It's a drug, man. And look, we gotta like based on our observations on the data that we've been looking at over the last 3-4 years. This drug is very serious.
Yeah, boy.
It causes volatile reaction. It causes you to hate your brother and cuss out your mother.
Yo.
I
Oh
mean,
my
it's an
goodness.
addiction going on, family. We got to deal with this, family. We got to, it's time to have a sit down, man. That dopamine, yo. You know what I mean? But what up, Chef, man? What's going on, man? See you in the building, Cedric, man. Peace to you, bro. Pseudo Killer Official, man. Um, yeah, man. Welcome y'all here again, man. Like I said, we talking about this dopamine and addictions, whether that be addictions through drug use or just behaviors, man. We gonna find out what's going on, man. Um, Marcus, man, you had something you wanted to go ahead and start us up with?
Yeah, so just a brief overview. Dopamine is one of the neurotransmitters. We talked about it in a previous brain show. We talked about how neurotransmitters work. This one is crucial for motivation and movement. It is associated with other much larger known, maybe more known neurological networks in areas of the brain, such as the prefrontal cortex, the parietal lobe, the ganglia, the basal ganglia. You'll hear these things quite a bit, especially when you're talking about human behavior, what may motivate and influence human behavior. And so this dopamine is a serious transmitter. It's not even the most numerous transmitter, but it is. How can I explain it the most simplest way? Um, it is the diamond of neurotransmitters. I'll say that its value to other neurons is extremely high, and so because of that, it's associated with the error management system and reward. And so it incentivizes behavior that seems to be beneficial and or at least perceived to be beneficial, which is how we're going to get into the conversation of addiction. Um, fascinating. The more they learn, the more they know. The more we understand addiction. And if you remember the history of addiction, they used to always talk about it as being a choice, and that if you are able to address the core reasons on why a person chose to use drugs, it could easily fix the issue. And what they found out is there is actually addiction actually changes your brain through plasticity and neurological genesis. And so it's more so a disease in the sense that your treatment has to be encompasses multiple aspects of it. And so we're going to discuss that a little in more detail, show some images of it. Know that this is not a new process. Mammalians all have a dopamine network, and it builds on addiction. So we watched the video, 2 videos. I'll put the videos into the chat so y'all can see it yourselves and learn, at least hear what she's saying.
You mean the videos that are already in the description box, Marcus?
Oh, you already put them in there. Oh, great.
Already.
You don't know that? Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Let me go back.
I've been put them in there. Mark, come on, man. Nah, I'll just play it. Juju put that in there.
So the videos are in the description box, so y'all straight. So y'all gonna enjoy it, man. Just live life and love it. You know what I'm saying? It's a interesting thing. One of the things I learned from the video, well, not really learned, but the way she described it was so profound to me, was not so much about the drug addiction, but how anything can really become addiction if it causes a high increase in dopamine. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
go
ahead. My bad.
No, I'm done. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, most people think when you mention addiction, they think you're just talking about like cocaine or crack or alcohol or some type of hard drug. But an addiction can be anything. Like you can be like eating certain foods more than usual. You could be addicted to that. You could be addicted to even exercise. You could be addicted to, it's something else I would say, but I ain't gonna say that. But there's more things that you could be addicted to that people don't realize. Like even you can be addicted to something, even if you feel like, oh, I'm straight. I don't have an addictive personality. But when one thing that stood out to me that she was saying is, bringing it back to the kids, watching what, if your kids are doing drugs or if your kids are addicted to certain things, just being able to kind of help them control that, because, the younger they are, the more neurons they have or something like that. How did she put it, Marcus?
Yeah. So when you're young like that, your brain is overactive. It's filled with
overactive. Yeah.
Yeah, it's filled with neurons that later would be pruned out.
Right.
But you're so susceptible at that time to create addiction. So it's serious.
Yeah, and then the older you, what you say, around about 25 is when they pretty much kind of like you are what you're gonna be until you learn new behaviors. That part she was saying something like 25, like, go ahead, my bad.
No, you absolutely right. It has to do with that frontal cortex development, right? So dopamine. Let me just quickly share something right quick. Let's see if I can pull this up right quick.
Ms. Lisa said she's an addiction. You might be to somebody, Ms. Lisa. Hey, that's a very true statement. I wouldn't doubt it. You know what I mean? Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, can y'all see that? So the way that the dopamine pathway work, you see that frontal lobe that's pointing to, that's the area where they could consider like cognitive control. It takes the longest to develop, that prefrontal cortex area. And because of that, it is highly moldable to environmental changes and adjustments. So if you start using drugs at a young age, it affects the development of that prefrontal cortex, which has to do with your ability to resist vices like that. So it's very very important that you monitor. And the thing that she was really honing into, including like social media, right? That
Right.
if kids get too much of that at a young age, man, it really, they're learning now that it has astronomical effects on behavior. But these are the dopamine pathways, right? And
Can I add something to that before you go on?
sure, go ahead.
Yeah, the important part of that is from the source material. I think what Anna described is that that's the most important part, or one of the most important parts when we're rearing our children, is that we don't allow them too much of things that can have an addictive consequence because of its effects on neuroplasticity, in essence. And yeah, basically there's neuronal connections, so you're basically going to be developing a brain that's more prone to addiction, whereas developing a brain that would be more resilient to addiction. That was my key takeaway from when she talked about the part about, how we rear our children. So I think that's important when you go into like setting boundaries, also expressing the consequences of things. You feel me? Like, people, we have an idea of what can be beneficial with video games. So I think that that's the dilemma too, when you come into things that can both have a beneficial effect, but also a detrimental one, as far as it being addictive and other things like that. So I just want to add that.
Yeah, you know,
Right.
I like when she said China puts a limit on how much time their children get on social media.
Correct.
Like they passed the law, like, nah, we not gonna do that. She said it may not work in America, but parents definitely need to be aware. And I think you see evidence of that though. I think you can find evidence of how detrimental excessive social media can be. You know what I mean? Especially on young people, even adults. We see it now. You know, a lot of people tied their whole identity to their social media persona, and it builds up these dopamine releases when people get online talking about how smart you are or how much they love the work you put in, which is, admiration is what it is. We're social beings, but
Right.
it can have adverse effects to people who may not have the resilience or may have a history of addiction that may become.
Nah, I mean, who wouldn't get addicted to validation? I mean, that's. I
Right.
mean,
Right.
who wouldn't get addicted to validation when you have, before, your mama barely validated you, right?
Man.
Your boyfriend,
Man.
he used to you, so he don't really validate you. And I'm talking about in the sense that you yourself think you should be validated. But yet you can get on social media, you can build this little rinky-dink platform, put out one video, and you got millions upon millions of people validating you just the way you feel like you should be validated. Like, if that ain't the devil for addiction, I don't know what it is. Like, who's not addicted to that? I mean, I will argue at best that every one of us on this panel is addicted in some way to that.
Man, look, you ain't gonna tell me I'm addicted to video games now. I just like to play them and finish the and build my empire on Grand Theft Auto, man. That's why I play it for 8 hours straight.
Wait, so let me give an example.
I gotta keep selling these video game drugs, man.
Let me give an example. Maybe I can
Go
find a
ahead.
name. I just watched the video yesterday. Um, it was a boyfriend and a girlfriend, and they did social media. And I guess the girlfriend um thought or suspected her boyfriend was cheating, or he wasn't paying enough attention or giving her the validation that she needed. And what did she do? She literally took, what is it, the Madden, where you create a team or a player or whatever. I forgot exactly what it was, but whatever happens, like, it can't be done. It's like once it's gone type situation. And she called herself deleting the player or like his perfect player, whatever. And yo, the fit of rage he went in when he realized what she had done because she didn't realize what she had done. But I think the other piece to that is that he was actually making money from this. And that was a big part of his, I guess, income or adding a substantial piece to his income. So I was like, holy crap. But, of course, he was addicted. And part of that addiction, I mean, I would put money on it had to do with the type of validation he was receiving, even from his constituents or his peers. So, yes, extremely addicting. I know I'm addicted. I love it.
You know what else is fascinating about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not just someone saying, good job. It's the excessiveness of it. You know what I'm saying? Because it can become almost hypnotizing.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Lisa had a question, but even if you get validation, even from your family, from your children, from your church to some degree, if you go to church, all these things are relevant to our social evolution, and so it matters. It matters. So
Yeah, validation from myself ain't enough for me. I know things about me, and that still ain't enough. So yeah, I'm one of them. But I'm gonna be candid in this broadcast. Like I'm gonna be truthful. Yeah, it ain't enough. I need that outside of me validation.
I mean, most people do. I mean, we literally evolved as social. I don't think people understand the impact of that statement. Like we literally evolved as social creatures.
As social beings.
Facts.
Like that's literally
Get
like
past it.
this is it's not random. You know what I'm saying? Like this is how the Homo sapiens have survived this long.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They have so there's other chemicals involved, right? But we're dealing with dopamine. But when you get into like serotonin, the love hormone, what they call it, that oxytocin and serotonin, they call it the love hormones. But serotonin and dopamine together, we
You
in
mean
trouble.
oxytocin?
Yeah, is it oxytocin or oxytocin?
Okay.
Oxytocin, I think. It might be oxytocin.
You
Oxytocin?
better look it up. I mean,
Yeah,
I
you
could
I
might
be
gotta
want.
wrong
pull it up
though.
now. Y'all done got me
Hey,
now. I gotta
hey,
go to.
hey, Marcus, you made a
I
point
gotta go to
earlier
my
though.
books now. Huh?
You made a point earlier. You said we evolved to be social people, right?
Mhm.
But we didn't evolve, and you was telling we was talking about this earlier today. We didn't evolve to have this much access to this many people, you know, like we do now. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, what you say is like we kind of ODing on our
Hmm.
social connections at this point is like way more than what we're used to. What our brain is kind of has evolved to actually interact with, and at the pace that we interact with these different individuals, like we can talk to somebody from Zimbabwe right now that we probably would have never known back in them, when our brains were developing into the social animals that we are today. If that
Zane
makes sense
said
to y'all.
Zane said it's oxytocin. Yeah, it's like social addiction, I guess. You feel me? I
Yeah,
got
and
what
then
you're
you trying
saying.
to, and then look. So we're not only trying to get validation from our own pack, you know what I'm saying, from our own social circle or whatever, but even the YouTube world, and then you got the Facebook world, and then you got, what I mean, you got all of these different groups of social circles that you can't please everybody. So it's like, how do you win in getting validation from that?
Right.
Yeah. So it's oxytocin. That's how you pronounce it. I pronounced it wrong.
Oxytocin. I'm about to say,
OXYTOCIN. Had to do the little read out loud. So it is oxytocin, serotonin,
The love
and
hormone.
and dopamine. If you learn those three, just what science says now about what it does to human behavior, it can explain so much about what we see going on today. Like it's those chemicals and the effects they've had and how they evolve is serious. But nevertheless, you're correct. According to some
Yay, a point for me.
sociologists and neurologists, we evolved in groups somewhere between 80 to 150 people, and in these small communities, you had limited environment. Well, other people, you had limited. Like, we were social in the sense that we would come across other Homo sapiens and that type stuff, but it was limited in how much. But with social media, we are bombarded with sensations.
Oh my God. I mean, stimuli, audio, visual, neural stimuli, like everywhere.
And let's not forget that costs energy, yo. My
Yeah,
body budget ain't made to my body budget ain't meant to handle all you niggas.
Yeah, boy, that's why I was like, I had to leave spaces because I feel like it was taxing on my body budget. It was too much. You feel me?
Yeah, you cost too much, Nick.
Look, I leave and have to go take a nap.
Shit.
Come back and try again.
Get the energy back, man. You know what I mean?
Did someone want to answer that question?
Oh, go ahead. What was the question? My bad. Put it
it's
back
on
up
the
there.
screen.
What about people who are antisocial? Can't the online gaming community be considered antisocial because of the time spent gaming?
No.
Well, it depends.
No.
It depends.
It's a no. They're still socializing.
Well, that's what I was just about to say.
They're still communicating, despite
there's a gaming community.
But they're still communicating when they're gaming. They got the headsets on. They're talking back and forth. You feel me? Even if they're not verbally communicating, they're typing. So that's still a type of socialization.
But there's still people that game and don't and are not online gaming. They just stick to their own. They go in there, stay in their rooms, they play their games, and they don't talk to nobody. So I mean, that's why I say it depends. Because when I game, I got my headset on. Just like you said, I got my headset on. I'm still talking to like 5-6 different people and shit. So I mean,
Marcus,
I think it just depends on the person, yo.
What do you say? We gotta get a neuroscientist in here for y'all. Well, I guess
we need to get this lady. We need to get this lady in here too.
But Andy can tackle these questions. Marcus, what you got? What was your answer to the question?
Yeah, I'm going to pull up share my screen thing right quick.
Okay, but you want to answer it? Just no. Okay, broadly.
You're probably gonna answer with the with the show.
So
yeah, but I mean, but
there it is.
Right, sir. Though
that's a good one right there.
I'm gonna go deep now. Some people just need that surface level to get to the.
No, I'm
deep.
not going deep. I'm going to show it right. So gaming can be pleasurable, and when we're dealing with behavior, pleasurable behavior can be reinforced through dopamine, which is how you get addicted to it. And so while gaming can begin one way, it can end completely different. So you could have, if you imagine a person who started off just socially drinking, as they get into their addiction, they actually don't continue that same behavior. They become more antisocial because their drinking and addiction changes the way their brain predicts and make processes. So gaming can be either or depending on the actual situation and circumstances that surround it. But gaming itself is considered one of those pleasure rewards and can lead into addiction. And if it leads into addiction, it can lead into antisocial behavior, just like any other addiction. People on meth, people on like you can have examples. It's like
cocaine,
Yeah.
heroin.
So an
Weed,
weed,
alcohol.
example is like you
food,
go to your family.
sugar.
You had a family event, and you're only on social media posting pictures instead of having that socializing interaction that is healthy for humans.
Right.
So gaming is definitely can be pleasurable, and it can lead to antisocial behavior, though it can begin as socializing. So yeah, that's that. I think that should answer the question.
We all were right. No, stop.
Mhm.
Oh, point for Marcus in Kent. We all got a point.
Yeah, because I mean, you know, and I like I say, I often think of the gaming situation is there's a balance too, because if you're playing games more than you're taking care of priorities, then you know it could be a problem. Like if you're neglecting your kids or your family, because you're in the game, even though you're playing with online friends, that still can be an addiction that's hurting you on a personal level. So you know, it just like I said, it just depends on
I mean,
how a
you
person
got
doing it.
parents, who sit in the house all day ignoring their children because they online playing Madden.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? So anything associated with reward and pleasure can become addictive, and that addictive behavior can isolate you from many of the components of society,
Yeah, yeah, that's real.
including reading. Right.
Yeah,
So,
yep.
case in point with me, I
It
gotta.
wasn't the reading, it was the material she was reading.
Yeah, well, with her, but in my case,
He talking about what he reading. You got him.
yeah. So and I guess you could say it's similar because I like fantasy novels, right?
Oh man,
I hate
So,
fantasy novels.
well,
I do too.
that's my secret pleasure, Juju. I can't just read all scientific stuff
Yeah,
all
I
day.
can. It has to be all science and it has to be all factual.
You
Like
know what
for
I mean?
it
Right.
to be a fantasy, I feel like I'm wasting my
The-
time. It can't
yeah, I
help me in
frown up.
real life, and the shit be stupid at the end.
What
Hey,
about
Jude,
poetry?
science done messed me up, yo. I frown up at the fiction section 9 of books
I
though.
feel
I don't
you.
even like it. Go ahead,
You don't
Elmo.
like it, Kent? The
What
fiction section?
fiction? Hell nah, man.
Me
Like ever since
neither.
I
I
started
thought it
fucking
was
with
weird.
science,
Right,
cause see,
right, right.
I used to read a lot of mystery novels. That used to be my thing, like
Only Judy
mystery,
Blume, and I
yeah,
was
mystery
done.
fiction.
Only Judy
Yeah,
Blume. I read the whole series.
man, you
Y'all
don't know nothing
remember
about
Judy
the
Blume?
who Judy Bull. I don't know Judy
You
Bull.
don't know
I don't know
Judy
that one.
Blume? Oh my
Mm-mm.
God, Google her. Iconic.
It's
Iconic.
this guy named it's this author named George Pelicanos. Matter of fact, I think he was one of the producers on The Wire, but he wrote a couple of mystery books. Man, that shit used to have me hooked back in the day, yo.
Oh, Judy
But go
Blume
ahead,
was like
Mark.
children mystery stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
I like a fantasy novel series called Wheel of Time. Um,
What
yeah,
is it called?
it's called Wheel of Time. There's a reason. Well, first of
Will
all, I'm a history buff, and
Right?
the guy who wrote it, he intertwines
Real history.
real history, like social
Oh,
real history stuff.
oh,
That
he
if you know what he's talking about.
so
It's
he
all
giving you some J.A. Rogers type of spoof
yeah,
too.
like
Yeah,
that type.
but
Yeah,
that's a little different because that really literally would kind of have you trapped though. Because you feel me? It's like the perfect recipe for a pseudo. Like there's some truths in it with a little bit of fantasy.
correct. Well, I tell you what really, you know, I tell you what really drove it home. Well, I'm gonna get
I
to that
can't doing the
part
magic
again.
trick. I'm
Right.
sorry.
So the guy
Yeah, my bad.
the guy name was
You jumped off.
yeah, the guy name was Robert Jordan. He
Okay.
died before he finished his book. And so a guy
Oh
named Brandon
Lord.
Sanderson finished the book. And when those books came out, now mind you, y'all know about my past. This is what I did for about 10 years of my life. Those who are in the Discord know what that means.
Oh, well, you was about to take over the.
So
Already.
so during that period of time,
I'm about to be a
right,
takeover.
this is what I was doing. He died during that period of 10 years. I was waiting for that final. When those books dropped, I stayed up for like 4 days straight and just
Damn.
read them. when Brandon Sanderson started his own mega series, it's known in the house that when that book come out, count me out for 2 days. Ain't no talking, ain't nothing.
Yeah.
You know, they gotta remind me.
No, I never heard this in my life. So you
had
were
a problem, bro.
monster. It had nothing to do with no coke, heroin, and none of that. Just
Like
straight off of yo, this is so new. Yeah, we need to call Anna. Like what?
it's that serious. I'm known for it. Like I'm not, like it's clearly known that when the guy Gary drop his next book,
oh my God,
leave me alone. I read the series over and over again to prepare for when the next book come out. That's what I do. It's extra.
Yeah, that's
I know.
a lot.
I guess the more you know, right? Knowing is half the battle.
Consequences of being the way I am. I don't know. But yeah, I go heavy. Hey. But I also I tell you what I do use those type books for though. I use it to teach children because it's easier to grasp their attention and then point out the truths in it. So one of the book series I use for that is Earth's Children. And she actually does anthropology and archaeology. So she uses so she uses real archaeological digs and she creates a false history about it. But she talks about how they use those tools and how the symbolisms that come along with it. It's the first time I heard about mammoth hunters in Europe. Like I learned it from that fantasy novel.
So were mammoth really in Europe? Because that's not my strong point.
Yeah. They got evidence of them actually taking the large bones and building huts and I mean it's look. So anyway, that's what I use those.
Go in.
But yeah. And I got it from a fantasy novel. So
you ain't never shared this with me. Like, period. We could have been used Earth. What is it called? Earth what?
It's called Earth's Children. It's a wild story.
Earth's Children. Yeah, y'all. I'm gonna tell the world how Marcus be dropping all kind of sources. Yeah. And he'll ever categorize the sources or nothing. So then you got to go all back through the thread and scroll for days because you're trying to get to the hot source. No matter how many times I remind him, he just play like he'll know what I'm talking about. So I just need y'all to help me because I need support in helping Chilimbwe categorize his sources.
Yes. You know what? In that book, it shows James, Pan-African James, to not know what he's talking about.
Oh, not the children's book.
Yeah.
What he was.
He's under the assumption that that there wasn't that David Wise, when he makes a statement about
David Wise ain't saying nothing that James is saying.
Correct.
I'm reading David Wise, and y'all
ain't saying what he's saying.
Nothing like that.
So in the conversation, David Wise makes a comment about belonging to this group. He says he follows this guy, and then he goes in and say that DNA evidence clarified it. Right. What he's talking about is in the 70s, there was a symposium about the findings of Homo sapien and Neanderthal being together, and there was a divide. David Wise was on one side, and the lady I'm talking about, who is not technically an expert, but the guy she learned from, had another side. Their side said that there was sexual interaction going on between Homo sapiens and Neanderthal, and David Wise argued that it wasn't. His group argued that it wasn't. James took that idea and tried to conflate it to be that they didn't know about Homo sapiens and things interacting that way, when that's not true. David Wise just was on one side of the argument who happened to be wrong. But there was actually a symposium in the 70s specifically about the subject. I found out about that subject from that goddamn book, Earth's Children. Children's book, she talks about it. She actually puts in there about Neanderthals and Homo sapiens, Magna Chrona Magnum, which is Homo sapien, but a specific one found in Europe. about how they had sexual interactions and the children came out. And she even talks about some of the difficulties that childbirth would have happened due to physiological changes between the two species. All that is written in the early 70s. Like it's cleared out in that book series. So Pan African James is just wrong. So that's it.
Yeah, he wrong, y'all. He's so wrong. But that's what I was about. But I was gonna redirect the top conversation back to the topic. I'm awake now. If you wanted to talk about exactly, so you were talking about the midbrain just now when you showed that picture, right?
Yes.
Were you done explaining that? So I kind of wanted to go in some things that she talked about in the video. I mean, that's the favorite part. I didn't necessarily read all the sources. I ain't gonna even front. But I think that video pretty much summed it up like to a T. A great understanding of how and why addiction, particularly drug addiction, is so daunting, right? Why people what they call recidivate. I know that's a term used when people go back to jail, but even like recidivate or go back to like drug use and not utilizing some of the tools.
Oh, talking about like
relapsing. We talked about how it's important to help children. She talked about pruning, tuning and pruning. I think that was an important part also. How these ages before 25, how you tune and prune, and how you want to do more of pruning away those habits and things that to make your child be more susceptible to addiction, and how you want to tune them into being able to I guess identify that there's a problem before it happens. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And just doing certain things like that. Because I think that's how a lot of children get through. Because everybody who raised around people who did drugs or that type of environment don't become drug addicts, right?
Facts.
We can get into the free will thing about it, but I think that happens more or less because of the choices that not only do their parents make when they're over them, but the way they teach how their children how to make choices. If that has like for the simple thing of like who you surround yourself with. You feel me?
Right.
That's one thing we always learn in life. You want to do great things, surround yourself with great people. Don't be the smartest person in the room. I mean, we can go on for days, right? With that.
Right.
I mean, that would be the same thing for drugs. Like, you can't be an athlete. Like, I couldn't be a swimmer and be associating myself with people who smoke all day long. That's not
like the access to it was a lot of people's downfall. Just
yeah,
because if you don't have access to it, then you ain't. What was the word again?
No, it was. She said access, but that was thank you, Kent. But that was another. That was a mental key. Proximity. So we can arguably add proximity to the list of how humans socialize, whether it's good or bad, right? Proximity is related to how humans were humaning as far as populations. You feel me? When humans left out of Africa, how they went here and there. You understand what I'm saying? It was based usually on proximity or access, right?
Yep.
But how proximity is a big point in crime. People, how, because this is one of the main reasons why I don't subscribe to black on black crime, because you don't talk about white on white crime. You don't say Mexican on Mexican crime, Chinese on Chinese. Like, it's weird. So I mean, this is criminology 101. Proximity is why people commit crime, and poverty. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So if you eliminate poverty, you're going to see less crime. And then we can also talk about those other artificial factors, because those are things that aren't necessarily part of it, but we add to it. That'd be like over policing. You feel me? And I guess unnecessary or unlawful use of power. You feel me? Like, even though some of these things have went into law, like the frisk, what is it?
Stop and frisk.
Stop and frisk. You feel me? Over policing, but proximity is the main factor. And then when we speak about in this with addiction, again, proximity, the access to something, particularly drugs. But again, the tuning and pruning, I thought was important because, again, in spite the quote unquote environment or circumstance, if you have parental guidance that are doing some very necessary work, very good work, doing their job, maybe seeking out some professional help to do it better, then you can help eliminate, the need for your child, or the reason for your child to even be an addict or have an addictive personality. Is that a I was just want to say, is that a pseudo thing, addictive personalities? I always
No. Well,
because I
anybody
was like,
can
I
be
don't have an
addictive.
addictive
It,
personality.
it Anybody can be addicted to something. Like I say, some people's addictions. Somebody might be addicted to cocaine. Another person might be addicted to, I don't know, beating on the desk. You know what I'm saying? Like they just, it sends them an adrenaline rush or something. To go and jump off cliffs and hang glide and shit like that. You know what I mean? An adrenaline junkie.
Yeah, I'm definitely an
It just
adrenaline
depends
junkie.
on. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you're right. Okay, yeah, you answered it. But go ahead.
But
And Marcus, you got a question.
I was gonna say that back to what you were saying about the proximity. Um, it was eye opening when she said that evolution wise, it was like a good thing for us to be addicted to something. Like we evolved to
Oh
have
yeah,
addictions,
talk
but
about
it was more so for survival. And in a modern world, it doesn't fit because we're, like you said, so close to proximity to get these things now. Like we don't have to go and hunt for certain things. We don't have to find and forage and all of that. So now we can just go to the Walmart and pick it up. You know what I'm saying? So did y'all want to speak to that?
Marcus.
Yeah, so this is actually used against us in advertisement and things like that. If you read the book, she talks about how this having these substances readily available increases the likelihood of developing addiction. We're going to do we're going to talk about one addiction that personally affected every one of us, and that is sugar. Right? If you look at the development of sugar and the processes that took place to get sugar, and understand how addictive sugar is, man.
Hey, look, you know what? Hey, it's funny that you say that because, I drink sweet tea every day. And I'm about to try her. She said something about doing 4 weeks without something to see if you could do it. I'm not drinking no more sweet tea for like a month to see if I could do it.
It's definitely difficult. It's
Yeah.
definitely difficult. What's that question right there?
Which one?
Juju got it. What makes people go back to drugs?
To drugs. Oh
or
yeah.
Any addiction when they know what it does. That's from Auntie Lisa.
That's a good question.
Great question. Great question there. Let me say it, and then I'm gonna show you pictures, right? And then we'll talk about the video. So when we talk about modifications to the brain, one of those modifications is the baseline of homeostasis. So dopamine fires pretty consistent in the brain, irrelevant to behavior. It just does it. It's the motivational point, and it helps with movement. When your dopamines don't act right, you start getting things like Parkinson's disease and things like that, where you have where we have uncontrollable movements, right? So that's part of that dopamine network movement.
Yeah.
Which is why we were talking about the association, making the association by things being readily available to us, less movement, more dopamine releases. That's part of the conversation. So when you talk about what's going on is she makes a comparison that your body is on like a seesaw, right? And as you develop pleasure from things, you get these, not those steady streams of dopamine release, but high quantities of dopamine, which is developing reward and behavior. When you get that high release of dopamine, it encourages you. Remember, I said dopamine is like diamonds to neurons. It encourages said behavior to happen again. And so you continue to do it. But there's a caveat to it. It's another side to it. And the other side is that pain and pleasure pathways work together. They're in the same section of the brain.
In the same section, yep.
So as you increase this pleasure, dopamine, right? There's a counterbalance to it, and so you crash. This is called a dopamine crash, right? And some people have experienced it. You know, you waited for your big dad's wedding, you go to your wedding honeymoon. When you come back, you're just exhausted. That's because you espoused all the other dopamine for that period of time, and it takes your body time to reproduce it. But more importantly, you got to balance that seesaw, because homeostasis is about balance.
Homeostasis, yeah.
Right. So remember when we first talked about it, we said allostasis is your brain's predictability for homeostasis. That was our very first brain.
Because the goal is homeostasis for your.
But the goal is homeostasis,
your body budget,
right?
Yeah.
For your body budget. That's what it's trying to maintain. And by making predictions on your needs, you're able to do it more efficiently than without it. And that predicting part, that balance is called allostasis. So nevertheless, as these things develop, let me pull this up. As the seesaw begins, you begin to get she calls them gremlins, but basically it's just the pain reward for it. It's the opposite side. And so your homeostasis is off. And what happens is it causes physiological differences and changes. And so you're depressed longer. And in order to bring back that balance, or at least that initial high again, you need to increase the quantity or the quantity. You got to use it more or use a stronger version of it. And this develops the addiction habit. But as you do that, more of the other side continues to grow. So if you look at this image I have up, this is what she's talking about right here.
Yeah.
And it started taking more to get that same high that you initially got.
Correct.
So basically chasing that high.
Yeah.
Chasing it.
And people who do ecstasy or have ever done coke, trust me, they know.
Absolutely.
Those are like the worst for that.
Yeah. And so, Miss Lisa, what happens is those gremlins that she's using there, they don't leave as fast as the dopamine do. And so equal value takes longer on the pain side. And so people with addiction, when they're not in the midst of using their drug of choice, they tend to stay depressed, anxiety. And then certain drugs like heroin and stuff like that, since they numb your pain receptors, it becomes a physical problem. Alcohol does a similar thing, where even a t-shirt you wear becomes painful because these receptors are now active again. And so this is what happens. And so when they break out of the addiction and try to, those gremlins don't just disappear, they stay. And what's fascinating about it, and yet dangerous, is that those gremlins that she describes them, which is, they're really specific neural pathways, but they learn. And so as they learn, they are quicker to hop onto that seesaw and drive you down. So now your high don't even last as long. So it's
okay, never mind. I thought you were talking about something. Go ahead.
Yeah. And so that's just, what happens. And so sometimes people stop drinking for a while, and then those gremlins just went over. and you want to get back to homeostasis and balance, and you use again.
Yeah. I was going to talk back. We're going to get back to your point again, Mark. But how about how your savior is almost a neuroplasticity that you have too, because the fact that we can learn and do and change our behaviors. I mean, it gets weaker the older you get, but that still helps you in a way to be able to change your addiction. Okay, hear me? Oh,
Yeah, you absolutely right. That's how you can help to fight off the addiction. And I felt that dopamine crash after my conversation with Logic, and I said straight, I'm never doing that again. That's what I did. That's how I just ended it.
Dang, I'm having that problem now with fast food. I can't seem to get on the vegetable fruit kick. I just want fast food. Yeah, I'm trying to break the habit as we speak. I'm not even playing either, because I've never been that obsessed, but for some reason, I become more and more obsessed.
Try the 4-week thing she spoke on. She said it usually takes about 4 weeks. What she say, the best well, it's not a cure, but the best way to fight the addiction is abstinence, right?
Yeah, because I mean, she speaks on how like the pain don't last forever, and you have to understand that how not like separating yourself from it. You feel me? Yeah, she gave some tools at the end to how to deal.
Look, even the smell will trigger you for the fast food. I already know how that be.
Staying away, like don't give yourself close proximity. And see, that's the problem. Wendy's is like walking distance. Like I can look outside my window and see Wendy's from where I stay. So the proximity mess, I'm done, right? I'm trying. I'm trying. Like, look, I only get like the little $6 grab bag and not like a huge meal. You feel me? So I'm like snack size portion and no salt on the fries. Like I try to do good by it.
But you remember she said the pain and the pleasure. So I mean, try to replace that with the
exercise.
With the and it sounds weird though, right? Like it's almost like
it's counterintuitive. It doesn't sound weird. Like we talked about that before we went live. You know what I'm saying? That the pleasure reward, how well, if you start at a point of pain instead of trying to receive the pleasure, if you start a point of pain, like we said, exercising, how it gives you a greater reward as far as at the point of dopamine. If I'm messing it up, Marcus, jump right in. But like how it will, increase your dopamine, but it will level it off, but it'll never go beneath. Like you'll never be at a dopamine deficit, right? But if you do it the other way around, where you're seeking for pleasure and you indulge in say like alcohol or drugs, then y'all just saw the picture and them little gremlins is gonna come out the
gremlins
board.
Is coming.
A lot of them. And it's gonna have you in a dopamine deficit. So what she's basically saying is instead of us going all day long trying to, fill this need of whatever in with pleasure, maybe we should do it with pain. You feel me?
It's crazy. It's crazy how she said, I feel you. It's crazy how she said you even get a high from thinking about. So when you're about to, so say like you about to go to Wendy's, right? And you get in your car, you got your debit card there. You even get the dopamine rush just in the act of going to be about to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it's crazy.
Like the conversation we had before we went live, how we talked about the Egyptian conversation being that if it's more on the toxic side, and shoot, is that a pleasure seeking or pain? Because it's a pleasure seeking, but I feel like
but hold on,
so much
it's
pain.
not the conversation that's addictive. It's the shit that happens in the conversation that's addictive.
Go on.
I mean, so I wouldn't say. So it's just like the lady was talking about when she said she used to read her book or whatever, right? had trouble sleeping at night, so she read romance novels to till she fell asleep. But after a while, she started getting addicted to these romance novels, and she said without saying, you could imagine like after she read the novels, bedtime, you know what I mean, whatever, use your imagination. And she said it got so bad where she was reading it at work. She got invited. She said her and her family got invited to a family event, and it was like wasn't that many people there or whatever. But she went in a room. She told him like, "Yo, I'm gonna go read my book or whatever," and went in a room by herself or whatever, and like read her romance
Now
novel.
she
And she
told her
said,
she had to go read her book. Ah!
"I'm looking like
Yeah.
like imagine you
That's
at a
wild.
cookout or something.
Nah,
Imagine you at a
boy.
cookout
Ain't that
and your
bad.
addiction is so bad that you gotta damn go in the bathroom or something and read this book, and because it puts you in the mood for whatever, right? So that's how bad. And this lady was a psychiatrist. She was what, a psychiatrist, right?
Yeah, like she killing the game right now with it too.
Yeah. So and
Yeah.
y'all can look at the video and hear her tell a story or whatever.
Hmm.
But it wasn't the book that was, it was the book was the tool to get to where she was trying to do.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying
Dude.
about the Egyptian country. Maybe it's a bad analogy or whatever, but I
Yeah.
think the conversation is giving into addictive behaviors from the guys are saying like,
Yes, because it's
that's in
giving them
denial about
validation.
things.
It's giving a sort of
Huh?
validation of who's right,
Validation,
who's
yeah.
wrong.
Validation,
Mm.
the rage and all of that other shit that comes
Yeah,
with it,
they
you know what I mean?
that
I think it's
toxicity.
all, yeah, so yeah, I mean we can get into that if
Felisa,
y'all want to know.
Felisa says she don't need no book for
She said,
That's wild.
crazy.
But there was a part in that. I think I lost my train of thought when she was talking about the addiction. Um, mm,
What do you
can
mean, like how she got rid of the addiction, or
it was something. I had it. I lost it. Hopefully, it comes back to me. I think it was an important part. I don't know if it had to do. I don't know how we talked about when we was going to going to addictions treatment or a treatment
mm-hmm.
program, and how they do this a thing where it's not like you totally like you it's almost like you microdosing, but you're doing it in a very constructive manner, right?
Okay.
I'll try to find the word to it, but y'all go on. Marcus, like Marcus
But
just get
yeah,
dead silent, like he don't want to engage with us.
you scared
Jeez.
now? You come outside, Mark. Come on, let me
Nah,
chill outside, bro.
he want the floor to himself. He don't want us messing it up.
But when you look at a lot of these things, man, you got to look at, okay, where's the pleasure at? Like, so there, like you said, the validation is sending that dopamine, that pleasure response in the head or whatever. And I think that's what we deal with. And then when it hurts to be wrong about something. So I'm thinking when it comes to that conversation, man, like a lot of it is, you're trying to take away my pleasure that I'm getting from teaching these people that, you know, the people was black or whatever, or having my followers think that I'm this great teacher. You're taking away that validation by proving me wrong or saying that I'm wrong about something. So we seeing all kind of like things play out in this community with these conversations. You know what I'm saying? Not just with that conversation, with a lot of conversations.
Yeah, a lot of it. Period. It's not that we was being funny.
I mean,
It's called. Hold on, Marcus. Sorry. Now you want to jump in? No, I'm just kidding. It's called self-binding strategies. I should call it chronological self-finding. Um, we use a
You
time
said
of it
self binding.
in order to abstain our use depending upon what our goal is. So it's like you got to
Mm,
set, yeah, it's called chronological self finding, which is a
right.
self binding strategy. Binding with a BINDING, self
Mm,
binding. So we bind ourselves, meaning that we don't participate in certain things or indulge in certain things But in this chronological self-finding strategy, that was part of it. Jeez.
You got the
That
blender
was
on it.
part of it that the 30-day goal, what you was talking about fasting or whatnot, that was a part of the self-binding strategy. And she talks about her patient who was addicted to video games and that or whatnot. So, but that's what it was, a self-binding strategy.
Yo, what about the one dude? She said the dude was addicted to sex or whatever, right? You know, we grown, we could talk about it. Said my man was so addicted, he created a machine. The nigga put together like some kind of crazy ass machine using stereo parts. And you know, she was like, you know how dangerous that is, but this is how far he was willing to go to keep up with his addiction. And so she told him, like, all right, so in order to get rid of this addiction, you gotta get rid of this machine. So said he threw it in the garbage and said, got down, but next thing you know, he would go digging in the garbage to get that junk and putting it back together and all kinds. So it's like,
Oh
you know,
yeah,
you
he
can,
built the whole machine. I was done.
yeah. So you can, you know, it's one thing to say, all right, I'm gonna quit this addiction or whatever, and I'm gonna stop cold turkey or what have you. But you know, when gremlins start hopping up on that pain receptor, and sooner or later you might give in or not. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Depending on, you know, the willpower. But she say the willpower don't last. I mean, the willpower, you know, yeah, you might start off the day, you know, full of willpower. But shit, by the end of the day, man, you tired. Like that joint might give in. So, you know, you got to develop these techniques or whatever to stay away from to stay away from what's triggering your addiction.
right. Marcus.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you really she did a Netflix special. She's part of a Netflix special, actually two of them. One is called The Social Dilemma, and in there she talks about social media and addiction. Um, and the other one was about the opioid crisis and about big pharma and those things. Um,
Mm-hmm.
she's worked on legislation. She's really big into understanding addiction. She has a center. Um, More importantly, she has personal experience with it, right? And so she speaks from both perspectives, right? Um, when it comes to Paul, let me clear that up. Let me say this: um, when I look at the community that seems to be associated with um, known as the conscious Q, I'm concerned. I'm concerned because we had an expert on who's talked about cults. We did
Mm-hmm.
series on the brain, and we look at these things and we see behavioral patterns that are very troubling. Um, and I'm nervous because the next cult leader could be creeping along, and if you don't understand how words can trigger dopamine release,
Right.
how um, information in and of itself can lead to this false confidence and people congratulating you on that over and over and over can lead to erroneous mistakes and addiction to just being the forefront of conversations. Um, when you look at the habits we see forming now, um, the destruction of friendships, um, the personal animosity that's developed. Um, it's like a weaker form of crack out here.
Mm-hmm.
You
Right.
know, it's it's the drug dealer's dilemma,
Hmm.
Mm.
right? Constantly handling drugs makes you addicted too,
Yeah. Yeah. You can
and so
absorb it.
it's a danger to that. Another part of the drug dealer's dilemma is having that much control and sustainability over somebody's life is dangerous.
Yeah. Absolute power.
Yeah. And so you have these people who get these cult like followings, and then they just abuse and use these people to continue to hold to these high release dopamine environments.
Right.
And without information in it, let me say this: information in itself is not sufficient, because even educated people get pulled into cults. Educated people get addicted too.
Correct.
But you're more likely to resist those urges when you understand.
Ain't it crazy how, with the cults and with the say like the people that get a lot, like the polites and the nature boys and all of them, like it seems like they start off, it starts off a little pleasure seeking behavior, and then like by the end of it, like these guys as leaders of these cults, it get crazier and crazier. Like it get to the point they get locked up, but it's like out of this world by the end of it. You know what I mean? It's like they keep on trying to seek a higher dopamine level or something, or a higher. I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know.
never gonna be
Like
as
it's
good as
something to
the
that.
first time you got high, though.
Yeah, it's like
See,
you
that's the
started
thing.
off with 3 women you was messing around with. Next thing you know, you got a whole house of women that you're beating up. You're telling this one to do this. You doing.
Ill.
You got them dressing up a certain. You know what I mean? It's like it's crazy, yo. But go ahead, my bad.
Insane. Go ahead, finish, Marcus.
It really is.
Because I want to talk about the repetitive control, uh, chemical managing drugs or whatnot.
Okay, I'll finish it up. And so I try to avoid some of these toxic or high demand dopaminic responses, because it can be so dangerous. But I want to point out something that they've known for quite some time about cult leaders, and I hate to tell y'all, I mean, I'm just gonna be honest. It's not just cult leaders. You got religious leaders, political leaders who use these known instruments, these things about human behavior, to really take advantage of somebody.
Right.
Right. I'm going to pull up something. Juju, you can go ahead. I'm looking through another book that talks about the demonstrative leaders and what they actually do to human brains. Okay, just give me 1 second.
That was the wrong button. Looking tore up. Yeah, no, I just think with Anne's video, she spoke about these type of they call are there are different types of chemicals to manage receptive controls, which would literally be at the level of the receptor in your brain. And she was giving examples like this one medication for opiate addictions, which is naltrexone. But it's the opiate receptor block, right? To help people manage their addiction. Those are some of the tools that they're using now to help to get the brain back to a level of homeostasis. But yeah, I think that's interesting. Then she goes more into how some people use it to quit drinking, or to use it to drink in moderation. So I guess it's helps people be at a level of control. I don't know, maybe we should do a brain show like intertwining how that works with the whole free will argument. Ooh. Because
Yeah, that'd be
we
a good
talk
one.
about a predicting brain, and that your brain's already predicted what it's gonna do before you even do it, and then we couple that with Addiction. Ooh, right?
Yep. The chemicals just add another level of influence, yo. You know what I mean?
Well,
If you think
that's
of it, it's an external force. It's the chemicals that it's what the chemical. Go ahead,
That's
Mark.
an
I don't want to
internal
fuck it up.
force. Are you talking about the
Well, yeah.
dopamine? That's actually an internal force. So it's like how external forces affect the internal force to come up to get the predictions that we get, or I guess the reality, the picture of reality that your brain paints, so to speak. Isn't that-
Well, yeah. I can see what you're saying on that. I can see what you're saying there.
I mean, it's the whole. It's part of the evidence they use. In all honesty, when they're discussing it, because okay, so dopamine is key for learning, right? And so they have mice in which they genetically
Hey,
change so that they don't
hey,
have.
hey,
Go
can you
ahead,
make
sir.
that bigger, Mark?
Let me see. Hold on.
Yeah, try to zoom because that shit's small as hell.
Uh, Hold on. Let
It
me
should be
see.
some. Should be something at the top. Let me see. Maybe not. Or the plus. Do the plus sign. There we go. Yeah, make that big. A little bit
Is that
more.
better?
Way better.
Okay.
Little bit more. But one or two more times.
Okay.
All right, there we go. Let's scroll. Yeah. Now you good.
So your body is constantly learning, and part of that learning process has to do with dopamine, reward pathway, and error management system, and how they interact with each other. And so what happens is that it's like coffee and caffeine, right? So um, caffeine, right, has an altered
Mm-hmm.
state to your body. It increases certain hormonal responses, makes you more aware and awake for a period of time. It is very, very short period of time. But your body becomes accustomed to it. That when you don't have it, your balance level is off, if you get what I'm saying. And so you're more grumpy, you're more grouchy, more anxiety, more frustrated. And to a degree, you can even become angry. And so this here leads us to part of the problem with a predicting brain, right? Is that it's based upon prior habits and prior activity. And if you have bad prior activities, your brain will continue to predict for bad results. And so it's problematic. It's problematic. And it's very, very known in the agency of advertisement. It is a reason why they want hot smelling bread when you go into a grocery store, or when you go into the grocery store, you have fruits and then you have cakes, right? There's a reason why it's designed that way, because it's just how humans are. And a beautiful book that describes as irresponsible, irrational predictability. And he basically lays out like tons of advertisement schemes and things that you may not be aware of, and how it plays upon
Mm-hmm.
these same networks that we're talking about, right? You learn to add value to things. You learn these things as you grow old. Your eating habits it's a reason why you tend to eat the same foods that your parents have eaten.
Hey, you know what I hate, yo? That when you go through the grocery store and you got your kids with you and you make it to the line and what they got on the sides, yo, on both sides,
Candy and chips, things that they know,
man.
you know. One
You
day,
leaving out the store, you done made it, you done survived the grocery store trip with your toddlers, man. You get right to the line and there, oh man, that's
or
crazy as hell.
or they put the little rides right by the door in the gumball machines.
Yeah, they
Oh
know.
yeah,
They know your children will aggravate you into submission. They
Right?
know it.
man.
Then parents gotta lie. I ain't got no change. Let's get on
Exactly.
out of here. They done got you already. I
Yo,
mean, wow.
Wait a minute, real quick. Yo, I was eating these hot chips. I'm about to choke. Like I'm literally. I'm sorry, but Zane, I put the link in the chat. So, damn, I'm about to die. If you want to
Yeah,
just,
link in the chat.
yeah, I'm trying to just say it. I can't talk. About to choke. But if you
Basically,
want
Zane,
to,
hit the link, man. If you can, if not, just put your question on there.
come up here and talk about it, right? And maybe we can help you figure it out or whatnot. But yeah, all right. That's all.
So
hit the link. This is the Interactive Brain Show, people. Yeah.
So I'm gonna finish off about this hypnotist and artists and people talking. This is from one of my absolute favorite books. It's about logic, reasoning, and the scientific method. It just deals with just that. It deals with pseudoscience, mass delusions, and so forth. I mean, he touches on so many subjects. It's brief on each subject, but at the same time, it gives you a good general understanding of the conversations that we be having. It's one of my absolutely favorite books. So this is talking about. I want try to. I'm gonna read it right quick, but I just want to make sure that everybody understands. So, hypnosis is another example of altered state. In fact, when under hypnosis, we're not in a trance. It's actually a state of hyper awareness. The goal of hypnosis is to give the subject some sensory information that they're not fully conscious of. They're in a highly suggestible state, and some sensory information is being processed subconsciously. These various brain regions perform very complex processings, which result in their desires, motivations, and decisions. Let me leave that at that. The frontal lobes are involved in decision making, but also in rationalizing those decisions in order to remove cognitive dissonance, but that is also undergoing its own calculus. However, to varying degrees, we can enact upon our will upon the frontal lobe function and turn off for critical thinking. Now, the key to that is that one little section right here where he talks about the frontal lobes are involved in decision making, but also rationalizes those decisions in order to remove cognitive dissonance. That's very important in human behavior. And it's something called the interpreter module. And when you get there, when you read about the interpreter module, you'll see what they talk about. It has to do with a split brain experiment. Fascinating work. I haven't even talked about the split brain that much. So research has demonstrated that very charismatic persons may be able to hypnotize a crowd by turning off the subject's critical thinking, making them susceptible to suggestions in the same way that a hypnotist does. And so this is what I see going on.
This is a good hold on, put that up there again, man. Read that part one more time. That's a good observation right there they had, man. Damn, you might can't even put it. Yeah, I just want to read that one part one more time. That research. What did it say the research showed?
Okay. I shared it again. Research has demonstrated that a very charismatic person may be able to hypnotize a crowd by turning off subjects' critical thinking, making them susceptible to suggestions in the same way that a hypnotist does. And so, yeah, that's what I see going on. And it's a very dangerous thing. And part of that process has to do with this dopamine network. It has to do with that interaction between the basal ganglia, the more midbrain sections, and dopamine release and learning behaviors, and how these things interact with each other. And words matter. We did a whole show about the dangers of words. Words matter.
Right. I think, and that's actually what we're seeing with these cults, with these scammers, with these people that's taking advantage of people with the charismatic charismatic part of their character, yo. You know, they very, like you say, they stopping them from thinking critically, telling them any damn thing. You know what I'm saying? A mummy talk to them. People
and they
believe it.
believe
You know
it.
what I'm saying?
They turn off the critical
You know what I
thinking,
mean?
right?
Yeah.
And sometimes when you hear people speak about those people they follow, you actually hear some of that reverb going on. It's not surprising that most people from the Nation of Islam sound like Farrakhan.
Facts.
That's not surprising to me.
It was some things that, man, you know, partner of mine, man, I couldn't believe that he believed that he heard from a charismatic leader. You know, he, like I said, one of my homeboys used to be, well, I think he still is. Hadn't talked to him in a while, but he's an Nuwapian. And like the things he would tell me that this guy was able to do, I'm looking at him like, nigga, you serious? So, yo, he in jail, but he could leave jail right now if he wanted to. He could break down into atoms and reform himself and do this. And I'm like, and this is a sensible guy. He graduated high school and everything. You know what I mean? Intelligent. You know what I mean? Great businessman. But he believed he got rid of all of the critical thinking because he fell for the charismatic. He got hypnotized damn near by the charismatic leader. It's crazy, yo.
As
My bad,
crazy as
Zane.
it is.
Hey, Zane, if you can pop back up here, man. My bad. I should have called on you. But go ahead, Mark.
I mean, it's just I want people to really understand the dangers. That I don't want you to live your life like terrified that everybody's manipulating you to some degree. But I think the beauty of the pseudo killers, not just the fact that it's diversity, is that there's parameters set that we can use to avoid some of these pitfalls that so many people easily fall for. I heard somebody on another channel speaking about ancient Egyptians knowing about diabetes and the connection to, and I'm saying, I'm watching and I'm listening and I'm saying, I'm looking at the chat and I'm hearing people actually agree with utter nonsense. Like the statement was utter foolishness. And I'm saying, wow, that's a dangerous position to be in because, you know, people giving you medical advice with ill training, don't know nothing, giving you spiritual advice based on antiquated, archaic ideologies that no longer fit today's society. I don't think people still want to be running around drinking camel's urine. It's not necessary now. You know, there's a passage in the Bible to a degree that says drink wine for your stomach trouble. Yes, it helps, but the point of that was that the water was contaminated. Well, we know how to clean water now, right? We understand hysteria. You know what happens when you drink bad water. Some of the ill effects of that, right? We don't have to puzzle about now eclipses and things like that. We don't have to sacrifice children because of El Nino, which is happening. I'll be talking about the one of the most strangest things I've seen in modern times was when New York, due to the smoke in Canada, had an orange haze to it. And I watched wild preachers talking about Jesus coming back. And I'm saying, man, what are you talking about? The weather, they done told you the wind changed and the smoke is coming into the city. It's causing this haze. And then I remembered, man, people's minds are susceptible to these wild ideologies because it's comfortable. It's dopamine release. It has to do with socializations. It has a magnitude of other factors involved. But the bottom line is that with scientific literacy, you are less likely to become victimized by such propaganda and foolishness.
Yep, given the tools to just be able to call out certain shit. One thing I like to tell people to go use is the baloney detection kit by Carl Sagan. If you don't know what that is, go ahead and Google that, look that up, man. And it's ways to kind of keep yourself from falling into some fake stuff. But go ahead, Mark. I didn't mean to cut you off, man.
No, you right on point. I mean, it's just a necessity, right? I don't want to wear down the religious community.
Matter of
That's
fact,
not my. Go ahead.
I'm about to say, matter of fact, if you can, man, let's pull up the baloney detection kit. It should be on like you should be able to just Google that and it's like a little chart. Hold on.
Yeah, I got it.
And, yeah,
You want
man.
just
It
the
means
you want the image of it.
yeah, well, it should have like the certain it should have the steps or whatever. Let me see. It's been a while since I looked at the joint. Damn.
Yeah, I'll pull it up.
Images. It's a blue joint. It's blue with some words on it. The BDK recipe, bologna
BDK
detection kit.
recipe.
You see it?
Yeah, hold on.
But yeah, man, y'all like and subscribe. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate everybody that's been sticking with us so far with the show. You know what I mean? Zane, seeing you in the building. Yeah, man. Whenever you ready, man, you can roll back through, man. As long as we on here, whatever. Omar, what's happening with you, man? Big shout out to Brass. You know what I mean? Who else we got in the building? Let me see.
I think I
That's the
found
only
them
other
pulling
name.
it up now. Give me a second. Dang. Oh no, this is just writings. You wanted the image of it, right? You hear me, Kent?
Yeah, my bad, man. My signal went out. What you said?
You want an image of it, right? You don't want just the words, right?
No, I mean we could do either or. If it's too many words, man, we can do it on another show or whatever, and just break down what the baloney detection kit is. But from the people that's listening or whatever, if y'all can go look that up, man, that's a good tool to give to your family. You know what I'm saying? Like where they can kind of beat up some of them pseudo-wisms or whatever. But yeah, we can do that at another show. Mark, we ain't got to pull it up now. That was kind of off the whim.
I got it now. I'm great. It's already done.
True indeed. What's up, Indigenous African? Straight from the soil, from the land, from the motherland.
Okay. You want to go over it?
Yeah, that's cool. You might have to share it though, cause
Yeah, I know.
my screen time. Yeah, man.
Let me know when you pull it up.
Dude, hold on, I might can pull it up my damn self. There you go.
Okay, there
Yeah,
you
it's
go.
up. You have to zoom in on it though. So, no, I don't need no glasses. Damn, you might can't zoom in, but being how you pulled it in, huh?
Yeah, I may not be able to. I
Yeah,
can read
don't.
it though. You want me to go over it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I can't see the words.
Number one, this is the bologna detection kit, and it goes through a series of ways that, like, if you're making a bologna sandwich, these are tools that you could use to verify whether this is valid or not. Carl Sagan made it pretty famous for it. Number one, how reliable is the source of the claim? What that means is, have they been known to lie? Do they manipulate data? If the source isn't reliable, then you probably shouldn't trust the claim. They could be slanting the data to get the results they want. Yeah, we see that in the conscious community all the time. We just had somebody do that with the Egypt conversation and talking about they knew about how diabetes and breathing go together. Utter foolishness.
Or the
Number two,
Dogon saw the Sirius B.
correct, foolishness. Does the source make similar claims? This is number two, the Mayo. Does the source seem credulous? I guess credible. Do they believe
Oh,
similar?
credulous. Yeah.
Yeah, credulous. Do they believe similar claims? Are they overly open to new ideas? For example, New Age people who believe in ghosts also believe in haunted houses, aliens, the whole deal. Um, Number three, have the claims been verified by somebody else? Are the people making the claim the only ones? Shh, man, that's a big one there. My
The only
goodness.
one saying it, right?
You the only people saying it. Somehow or another, you got the magical information. The
Man.
information that was hidden and stolen, you've magically found. Nobody else found it but you.
Hey, which one was that? That's the salt and pepper. Or was that?
That's number three. That's the salt shaker.
Man, they ain't got past the salt. We didn't get to the bottom of that. I mean, this is how easy you can stop the bullshit with the conscious community stuff that we see every day. But go ahead.
It says data needs to be replicated in order for a claim to be confirmed. Number four, does this fit the way the world works? Apply common sense, taking into account how the world works. For example, would you really make sense for aliens to come to Earth, help people build great rock pyramids, and then fly away and never return? Yeah, that's that whole
Easy.
easy. Don't make sense. Really though, that's what you're saying. Really, right? Egyptians know about quantum physics. Really though, is that your claim? Really?
Man, they knew about the fields. It was the fields that they knew. Yeah. Okay.
Has anyone tried to disprove this claim? What would critics say? What might they think of that you haven't thought of? Reliable source should try to disprove their own claim, not just ignore data the way indicators they're wrong.
Right. Which is why we bring the experts on, because we don't want to just listen to these niggas. You know what I'm saying? We want to hear what the people that actually went to school, put their hard-earned money, went to these colleges, went to these schools of thought, put in the hours of study, learned the languages. We want to know what they have to say about these extraordinary things that you're saying. But go ahead, Mark.
Where did I just stop?
I think you was on the onions or something.
I just finished the onion. I'm on the pickles. Where does the preponderance of evidence point? Where does the preponderance of evidence point? Be a science detective. Think of finding the claims or finding the suspect to a crime. Where does the evidence point to? 7, is the claimant playing by the rules of science? The difference between science and pseudoscience. Science uses scientific method. Methodological naturalism. That's what it is. Scientific method is methodological naturalism, not philosophical naturalism. And acknowledge the facts. Pseudoscience display an indifference to facts. Number 8, is the claimant providing positive evidence? Do they have evidence? Some sources point out negative, non-evidence to support their claim, but that doesn't prove anything. That's double negative. I can make a statement and you haven't disproven it, so now that statement got to be true. Knock it off. Number 9.
Right. Go ahead.
Does a new theory account for as many phenomena as the old theory? Here goes the out of Africa problem, right? You come up, you say you don't believe in it, and then you come with your own idea, but your own idea only talk about eye color. And I'm saying, nah, it don't work like that, bro. Like you gotta add more to that conversation, bro. Out of Africa explains a lot. You got to be able to come up with an idea that explains all of it. Flat Earth, where your model at?
Man.
Right. Compared to the old theories, how well does the new theory hold up? Does it explain as much or more as the old one? Which one makes the most sense? That's number 9. Number 10, are personal beliefs driving the claim? Lord have mercy. That's it right there.
Personal beliefs.
Do they have reason to slant the data towards a certain outcome?
Slant the data.
Remove politics and just look at the data. For example, people who are pro-business feel that they must be skeptical of global warming. And so herein lies the problem, right? So I think number 10 answers the last 3 or 4 year conversations that certain communities have been having.
Man.
And to me, it's understandable. You know, when your personal identity is tied and your self-value is tied to a concept that is driven by
and your validation. You know,
right.
Let's talk about the dopamine. Yeah, go ahead, continue.
Right. It makes. I mean, I can understand it. I don't think it's. I'm not saying they're right in doing it. I just understand why it became difficult. Why it's hard to say, no, I was wrong. This is. I tell you all the time. I respect a guy by the name of Creflo Dollar. He's a creature. He was. You know, I'm not verifying that I agree with the brother, but he did come out and say before a congregation at the cost of much that he was wrong about certain things and that he was dealt with about that, of course, by his own personal experience. And I'm like, man, just that statement alone takes a lot of gumption. Because,
man, especially when you got a church.
Right. Because what's at stake is a lot. You know what I'm saying? And that makes it all the more difficult for a person to do it. And we see it all the time, right? We had an incident a week or two ago at a symposium, right? People rapping instead of putting their position up. And I was utterly, you know, but I understand it. I'm not saying, you know, it's just who people are, it's how people act. But my point to that is that, you know, people look for those accolades and congratulations, and it leads to people not being able to take a step back and analyze the information to the best of their ability, and then use proper sources and the experts. Right? Not that the experts can't be wrong; they're just less likely to be wrong.
And follow the science, follow the data. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Zane, what's up, bro? Oh, go ahead. Well, hold on.
Go ahead, Zane.
Introduce him real quick. What's up, Zane? How you doing, man?
To the people.
Hey, what's up, fellas? Y'all can hear me?
That's Kadeem. What up, Kadeem?
Hey,
what up, Phil?
What's up, Juju?
Chilling.
What up, man?
What's going on? Yeah, I had a question, but I couldn't
Before
word
you
it
get
out.
into your question, though, did you want to introduce yourselves to the audience, though, Zane? Feel me? Give them like one fact about yourself. I'm just kidding. But real quick, Marcus, that baloney chart, and I see what they did there. That's pretty tight, Carl Segment. That's how you know something's baloney, trash, techno babble. Yeah, I like that. I like the visuals, but the audience really wants the link to that chart. That's what they were asking for. So if you could put it in the private chat, I'll share with the audience, unless you're gonna do it. Yeah, that's all. But go ahead, Zane.
They want the chart. They want a copy of the chart.
Yeah, they want the baloney chart. Yeah.
Put that, man. Hey, make that into a poster. Put it on your wall for your kids.
I know that's right.
and for adults, shit. Because I mean that, you know, I ain't gonna get into it yet. But go ahead. We'll get into it after Zane.
That's what that is. That's the kids version.
Right.
That was the kid chart.
Yeah.
I don't care what it was. We just want a copy of it. We need the link, Marcus.
Mm-hmm. But go ahead, Zane. What's up, man? What's on your mind?
Yeah, just one small question, right? Back to the brain and hormones, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking to myself, like, self-induced placebos. Like, could you think your way into say, overstimulating yourself with a certain hormone?
Wait a minute, you said self-induced placebo?
Yeah.
And you said, could you think your way what?
Through a hormone. Like, could you overstimulate yourself?
We can hardly hear you.
He said, can you overstimulate yourself?
Oh.
Yeah. Can you overstimulate? Could that overstimulation be a benefit at some point? Or is it still detrimental?
He said, can you overstimulate yourself, and could it be a benefit, or is it only detrimental? That's what you asked, Zane?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Basically, having to sticking to that attitude.
To that last part again, you was kind of chopping up.
like having that attitude and trying to stick to that, having a certain attitude, drive a
So you
focus.
saying like, so you saying like a Mamba mentality type of?
Exactly. Like, yeah, that's a good example.
I mean, I let y'all tackle that one. I'm not too sure
So that's really
about
like
what is.
two separate questions, right? The placebo effect is one thing, but then there's a point of recalibration that takes place, or at least can take place. Um, so with the placebo effect, there's some numbing chemicals, right? Another fascinating thing about the brain. The brain has the ability to um, create to a degree a type of reality. One of the examples they use is a construction worker um, falls. It appears the pipe went through his shoe. Um, he's screaming out in pain. The pain is real. Blah blah. He thinks it went through his foot. When they finally get to the hospital, find out that it never even went through his foot. It went through his toe, in between his two toes. So he actually wasn't hurt at all, but he believed he was. And for all purposes, the pain was legitimate. Um, the placebo effect works similar to that, right? It's this thing that the brain can do. It doesn't actually cure anything. They have no evidence of it curing anything. More so, it dumbs down the effects of whatever illness you may be facing. Um, so it's similar to I think I mentioned this before um, about certain tea drinks, right? Or the tea that the chemical that's in mint plants. The chemicals in mint plants is what they make cough drops out for the most part. Um, and what it does is when your body has an infection, it generates heat. Um, that heat is an indication of illness. So you get a sore throat or something like that. It's through those heat chemoreceptors. Um, but when you take this cough drop, it triggers the cold receptors. Your brain interprets that as not no longer being solely the heat and illness, and so you feel relief. But in reality, it is only done it's trigger another set of receptors, and so it doesn't actually deal with the actual illness. It just leaves it at that. That's part of the placebo effect. It does have some long-term effects to a degree, but there's no placebo effect that fixes cancer. That's not what it does. Um, as far as the other thing, positive thinking definitely plays a role in it. It plays a role in your brain's prediction. And there's another app. I think he dropped off. Maybe he'll get back on.
We're not just
Meditation.
answering the question for him, though. So,
Huh?
you know, either way, we're not just answering the question for him.
Oh yeah. So things like meditation, they're looking into these things. I hate to say it because this community is filled with a bunch of pseudos and they'll run wild with it, but there is
No,
some
no, man.
evidence.
Meditation is advantageous.
Right.
It just ain't doing the superpowers that they think that they say it be doing.
Correct.
Yeah.
Levitating.
They talk
It ain't
about
levitating.
meditation at the Mayo Clinic, you know what I'm saying, and different things like that. So, but
Absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
And so and so that plays a role in
But
that.
it ain't
So,
curing cancer, y'all.
no, it ain't doing that at all. But it
Not
does
at
play a
all.
role in how your body may respond. And even the lady talks about how combining both body and mind exercises together can help with addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so it's this play that I think okay, so let me just say it this way. The issue is um, when we talk about the mind is the brain and the body in a cohesive unit. Um, that part is well understood. Sometimes when we talk in these conversations, we only talk about the brain, but you can't just use the brain. It's the brain and the body and this whole function together. So allostasis is the brain part. Homeostasis is the brain and the body together, working together to create a complete state. And so with meditation and quieting down something called the default network, you're able to build an environment where your brain is able to make better predictions. And you feel released when these better predictions are made, dealing with the error management theory, dopamine and serotonin. So that's the overall concept of it. And when you look at it, you see where you can find some examples of this being exploited. One thing about it is, one thing I've always found fascinating is like the Baptists and the preachers and stuff that do that hyperventilation where they're preaching, they're like, and then they say something and they do that hype thing and then they say,
like a pattern.
Yeah.
I'll be walking out the church. I ain't got time for that.
That actually has to do with oxidization in your body.
Right.
Yeah. And it seems like they're getting caught up, but what it is a euphoria experience from breathing.
Wow.
Right? Oxidization. That's actually what's going on.
Fascinating.
So
they're running out of breath.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yo, hold on a minute. I thought it was a scam tool. Whole time these niggas can't breathe because they trying to get it all out, but they
no.
It's not gonna play with you. But y'all remember we do have a question on the screen, and I have
hold on. He said that was hold on. He said that wasn't it. I don't want to mislead the people.
Yeah. No, what it is it's breathing. There's certain breathing techniques that your body is accustomed to that when you change it can trigger different nervous system pathways. So it's two different nervous systems. One for activation and one for subjugation. There's only certain situations when both of them are working. One of those is sex, but like in the subjugation part, right? That's when you go to sleep or something. Your internal organs start to work. You start to digest food better, so forth and so on. In the activated part, it slows down those processes so it can be focused on other processes. That's actually what stress was, they believe so far originally for, is that when stress is triggered, you have these spurts that hurry up and switch to this activated zone and boom. And now you're able to go. It shuts down all systems until you're safe. And then once you're safe, it goes in there. But basically that euphoria that they have when they're doing that, people interpret it as them being caught up.
Yeah, and I used to think, because man, you just answered a lifelong childhood question of mine is why do they do that? Because it's like it's all over the place. Like I've seen it in DC, South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina, like all over, and they do the same thing. I'm like, yo, what is that? Why are they doing? Is it like something they teach them in preacher school or something, or how to get the people riled up? That's what I thought it was, right? I thought it was faking. But it's some real shit going on. I never knew that. It's like some real breathing tech. Like, well, I wouldn't say a breathing technique, but it's something they can't help. Is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, it's part of the whole system, right? You get dopamine released in there, serotonin released because you're over oxidizing your body. It's wild.
Hey, but do you think some of it is like people see other people do it, so they kind of get that same little cadence?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's both. They playing and they goddamn can't breathe.
No, I think it's just what things that happen. Like that's just part of human behavior. You know what I'm saying? It's like the first person who tried mushrooms and got high convinced everybody else to try the mushrooms. And they see the results of it. And they're like, yeah, this is what we do. You know, I don't say it's necessarily I won't say it's necessarily scamming. I think it's just how the shamans of old used to behave and that we still carry those practices on today.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you ever been to a Ladum ceremony, you'll see similar practices and behaviors. And so I think there was a CNN series where a guy named Anthony something, I think he ended up dying, went around to just world religions and talking to folks about what their belief systems were and where that's at. And yeah, yeah. And you see these practices going on. And it's nothing wrong with it, because if you do certain things like, even when you exercise, they tell you exhale on one point, inhale on another. So it's definitely well known, but it's just a fascinating thing.
Yeah, you right. Like bench pressing, man. Mess around and don't breathe the right way if you want to, man. Mess around and pass out.
Exactly. So it's just something that I picked up on about preachers that they do, and it's all races and colors that do it. It's not just black churches,
Right.
So
I think that I've been to white churches before, and I don't really see them do it, but also
them southern white churches be doing it.
Yeah, nah, you right on that.
Them
Southern white churches, yeah, you right.
Yes, they do.
Them Baptists, them holding the churches of the South get down.
Yeah, don't care what color you are. They get so extreme. They want to bring the snakes in there and stuff, and do all the hooping and hollering with the snake. I'm just saying, though.
Yeah,
you feel
crazy.
me? You can't always be like, our churches is this, because I could definitely find you one better, and they don't look nothing like us.
Facts.
Did y'all want to answer that question real quick, or are we not done yet? I mean, I have a couple questions waiting.
We can get in.
If y'all can, go ahead and do that. I feel like the audience engagement is way more important. I mean, I just feel that way.
Yeah, we can get it in. So, Indigenous African says,
he's been waiting
or asks, do you guys like lo-fi hip hop? What do you think about it in relation to the brain and what you mentioned earlier on dopamine? Yeah, I love lo-fi hip hop, man. Jazz, lo-fi hip hop, all of that soothing music, and I do believe it has a calming effect on the brain. Oh shit, hold on to me. My bad. Hey Judy, you can put the question back up. But I do believe it has an effect on the brain that calms you down. But I love it. If that answers your question.
Okay, that's the next question.
Y'all don't want to tackle that one? I mean, y'all don't want to tackle that lo-fi hip hop one?
Yeah,
I like all kinds of music.
Oh, yeah, I think music is a high stimulus, but it can be used both positive and negative. I know when I was wilding out, I put on some certain hip hop artists, and I'd be ready to wild out. You know what I'm saying? And then when I'm with my female friends, I play a different type of music that gets me in the mood. So I think
that's another one we got to do. You got to affect the music on the brain.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that'll be a good one. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think it definitely has an effect. I think it can trigger things, but it's the thing about music is it's one of those things that activates multiple regions at a single time of the brain. So it's very, very, it can be very useful in certain situations.
Exercising.
Yeah. So like you're listening to the beat, that's one part of the motor cortex. The words, even if it's not words, the visualization of the sounds is another part. Then there's a memory part, like if you heard the song before or you're attempting to memorize these songs. So it activates a wide range of brain neural pathways and networks. And there is some evidence. I think it was one case where there was a teenager. She was fascinated with Bruno Mars. They were doing brain surgery on her or some type of surgery. And they played Bruno Mars. And when she came out, her speech, she could remember a lot of the songs that were played during her surgery or something. I'll see if I can find that report about that. I just put in a back chat Juju about euphoria from oxygen deprivation, just a source on what I was talking about the church.
Yeah, man.
Okay, got another question.
Yeah.
What? Oh, how do you give
Yeah, I
yourself a
think no,
placebo?
he was actually speaking to Zane on that because Zane was talking about giving yourself a placebo. So I don't think it was a question for us. I think it was for Zane. He was, I guess, getting at him or
I know.
something.
I think it's a relevant question. How do you give yourself a placebo? Remember, it's for the audience. The audience might not know this.
I,
Well, I mean,
go ahead, Ken.
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I mean, you could try to fake yourself out, but I think it's easier for like a doctor to give you or somebody else to give you a placebo than for you to give yourself a placebo because you already know that it's not real. Unless, you know what I mean, I don't know, hyping
Right.
yourself
It
up.
wouldn't
Like,
necessarily work if you did it yourself.
right, you know that
Because you
like so
gotta you
say
gotta believe it's real.
right, so yeah, right. A placebo is like a doctor give you, if they're doing a study on which, what works and what doesn't work, and then so you have to give like half the participants the real thing, and then you get the other half the fake shit. You know what I'm saying? The placebo. And then, you see based on, what the results are or whatever, if it really had an effect or not.
Right.
But I've never heard anybody giving themselves a placebo. I could be wrong though. I mean, what y'all think?
No, I haven't heard it, but it doesn't. He didn't follow it up. It doesn't have to be prescribed. Some of the things like Dr. Sabi did was a placebo. He wasn't
Right.
no professional to prescribe it. Um, it's really just about brain function and how the brain can create many minds. I mean, it's just basically that. And because of that, you have a lot of cultural influence that plays a role in placebo effects. This is described in people's folklore, right? Throwing ash or broom touches your foot, throw salt behind you to get off the bad juju.
Mhm.
So
Uh-uh.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. So that plays a part. I think that the issue is between the word placebos, and so you can have positive reinforcement with your own brain, right? You can have positive reinforcement through certain learning techniques, right? Specifically placebos, though, that's a specific thing. There is no really internal placebos that I know of. I just don't know of any. Um, right? There is none. So that I know of, there could be. I've never heard of any internal placebos. What they have is certain.
You mean external?
Yeah, I mean external. That's what I mean. I don't know of any internal placebos. Placebos in the sense that I can create my own placebo.
Got it.
Um,
Yeah.
You mean
I
internal.
think it defeat the purpose if you
right.
create it
You
because
don't
you
know
already.
any internal. I think it defeats the purpose also. Like it won't play. So a placebo is actually playing somewhat of a mental trick. Okay. So if you know the trick, then how is it going to be effective?
Right.
That's how I rationalize that.
Yeah, you have to believe. You have to believe it's real. The blind, yeah, the blind and the double blind study, or
Yeah.
the double blind test that they do. Mac Rob just put that in there.
So with David Goins, the runner, that was part of that mental thing I was talking about that you can do. But that's not really considered, I don't think, a placebo. That's more of part of that whole thing that we talked about with meditation and positive reinforcement, things like that. That's something slightly different than the regular placebo. For you can psych yourself up to go bust somebody in the back of the head. You can do that. That's something that people may do. Or you psych yourself up to run a 5K marathon. Um, you can do that for a degree, right? But in reality, I don't think that's considered a placebo. I think that's considered mentalization. So prayer is a placebo then. I
I
rather
mean, I
not.
think people that pray believe in it though. They believe in what they praying to. Well, they believing that their prayers is actually going to get answered. So I
Yeah,
mean, I'm not going to pray if I know that it ain't, you know. You know what I mean? Like that would be a waste of time. Well, shit, I can't speak for everybody. I just wouldn't. If I knew that this shit wasn't working, I wouldn't do it.
prayer is a difficult thing. There is a external factor because you believe that there's something that is answering the prayer, right? And then that something responds to your prayer to a degree. So it could be seen as a placebo effect, and it also could be seen as a mentalization, considering communal prayer or ritualistic prayer that helps settles the mind to a degree
Electrical
through
birdie.
culture and so forth and so on. And so that could play a part. Having someone praying over you to heal you. That like that Reiki stuff. That like that Reiki stuff here. I'm gonna give you a definition for placebo. Mac Rob, hit the link if you can.
Yeah, this Mac Rob. Mac Rob. That I know you know about this.
I know why he ain't up here. Him and Sosa got us doing all the work.
So I'm gonna tell you what a placebo is. It's really let me it's a technical medical term really, but so I just dropped it in the chat. It's like sham medical treatment. That's a rough thing, but there's more complications to it.
They talking about, come on, Dr. Mac.
It's okay.
You got
Here
it?
come Mac Rob, our resident expert in the fields. Make sure you got. Did we drop the link for him?
Yes, Marcus.
All right, thank you.
You can't see like I can see. You
No,
don't
I
see the
can't.
chat.
I'm trying my best, Juju. You know,
What up, Mac?
Peace,
You don't
Mac
stop
Rob.
playing with me. What up, Pseudo Killer Official? Black Mr. Black History himself.
Yes, sir.
The Mac to the
Appreciate
Rob.
Pseudo Killer Official. What's good, Mac Rob?
Hold on one sec. These AirPods is. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Turn up the volume just a snap.
Okay, there we go. All right. Yeah, what's going on, y'all? I'm sorry, y'all. I've been putting up lights. Gonna have a popcorn party with kids.
You going out?
No, I
How about
heard
now?
him.
Is that better?
Yeah, you say you're putting up bikes and having popcorn parties with the
Can y'all hear me?
kids. Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear y'all.
All right. No, but that's what's up though, man. Yeah, you gotta spend time with the children.
Yeah, I need time to myself sometimes too. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean by that is so I can hop on these panels, man, and start dropping some of this knowledge, man. Y'all killing it right now. Y'all killing it with the Brian Show, per usual.
I appreciate you, man.
Appreciate it, big bro.
Hey, and what you think about that? What you think about that placebo though? That question that he asked, yo.
Which one was it?
It was he was asking about if you can give yourself a placebo, and I think when another person asks, is prayer like a placebo? I say no to both,
What?
but what you think, bro?
Yeah, and I could be wrong. I'm to my knowledge, a placebo would be like somebody has to monitor the function of whether or not it had an effect. So you have your blind and double blind. Blind meaning you don't know this is a placebo, but I do as the person that's administering the placebo. Double, and I know that I'm either giving you aspirin or a non-aspirin. You know what I mean? Or But for double blind, both the person administering the placebo and the person receiving it don't know which one that they have, but we're still able to measure the effect. So I think I explained it right. So to my knowledge, no, I'm not familiar with. Can y'all hear me still?
Yeah, you good.
Okay. To my knowledge, I'm not familiar with anybody administering their own placebo. Again, I think there has to be someone who's observing the effects so that they can put the effects in some kind of data or measurable outcome for others to be able to measure and snag that output. Prayer, I would also say no, because how do you measure whether it was the deciding factor for that desired effect? I wouldn't, and I know that I hope I didn't throw a rock at
Now,
anybody, hit him in the
now
head.
what if you pray for someone else? Like, so say like, and I don't think doctors do this. Man, they might say
Yeah,
they
they might,
they might not have anything to cure you, but they
right.
do a little prayer, or they tell you, they'll pray with you or whatever, and kind of, you think that might be, well, nah, I don't know. I can't say that's placebo.
Yeah, I see
It
where
would
you're
actually have to be
going.
something.
Yeah, because some like that, man. Oh God, this is a tricky topic because you know what I mean. Because people have prayed and have had the desired effect, and there is nothing you can say or do to change their
Yep.
mind about whether or not their prayer made that difference. Like somebody
Right.
cussing me out right now to say anything opposite to what they know to be their personal truth.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
and that's why I say, giving yourself your own placebo. It's like, who would measure the effect outside of the person who is looking forward to the desired effect? It's just to me, it's
Right. You
I don't know.
it would defeat the purpose to give yourself something that you know is fake, and then say you felt something, because like, yeah, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at
So,
all to do that. So, but I get what you're saying.
but y'all killing it, man. That brain is an awesome, amazing organ, man. Amazing piece of tissue.
Yes,
It does so
indeed.
much. I heard Mark talking about the activated system and the system that works in opposition to it. Maybe were you talking about the sympathetic and parasympathetic?
Yeah, I already
Okay,
got called
yeah.
out for. I already got called out for mispronouncing words, so I decided to go the easy route.
That's funny, man. But yeah, you killed it, man. Um, it's just so complex, man. And as y'all see, man, it's a topic that can take you weeks to months to actually discuss, and probably even years, because it's so much information and so much to be discovered, and will continue to be discovered as we move forward. So I just wish people understand, man, the level of information is being delivered in an hour, 2 hours on this high level topic, and even with my background, I learned more from this show than I do, than I have in previous books and literature pertaining to my profession. You know what I'm saying? So, just keep up the good work, man. I'm most of the time I'm always listening, and of course, always doing something in the background that may hinder my ability to really jump in and join the show. But that won't continue forever. I can promise you that. So, and as I mentioned, I plan on eventually doing medical Mondays, where we can actually talk about different body systems um, and use my. I think I showed y'all my 3 dimensional.
I was just about to mention that, yo. I still be looking at that thing, man. It's amazing.
Yeah, that was
That's
a
the
big
app.
move.
Yes, sir.
That app is serious. That app is real serious.
I just have one request. If you can drop it in the Discord, categorize appropriately, please and thank you.
Now, that's top secret right there, Drew. You can't get that.
I said the Discord. I said the
I know.
Discord.
That's what I'm saying the Discord. That's top secret, man. Only the elite. I was messing with
Oh,
you, but
man.
yeah,
Yeah, I can
man.
hear that.
Yeah, that I'm talking about. That don't give you everything about the human body, man. Like, yo, like, that's. I think every household needs something like that on their phone, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you,
Oh, shit.
Mac, man.
And what's
That
the
was
Discord?
real good, bro. I appreciate that, man. You know,
No
those words
doubt,
matter,
man.
man, especially from coming from somebody like you.
Man, I appreciate it. I'm telling you, man, y'all be dropping jewels, man. It amazes me that we ain't got 2,000 in the chat right now listening to this high level information. Um, and it's information that would benefit them. Um, man, this show is talked about, at ACEs, the adverse childhood events, traumatic events for adults. Um, if I'm not mistaken, we talked about resources that people can use to help increase the learning capabilities of the children and even themselves. Man, man, people pay for this kind of stuff.
Yeah, man. I'm hoping that I know a lot of times like other shows is running at the same time, and so people come and check us out later. Maybe sometimes leave comments.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that.
and as we continue to draw a lot, I'm hoping that more people will become more interested in it. And that, and not only that, but the Galaxy and Beyond show.
Oh
Um,
man,
and
oh
then
man.
Oh yeah, they be killing that junk. That
yeah,
Dallas and Beyond. Yeah, that show off the chain.
They be killing
um, yeah, man. So hopefully we
it.
can continue to pump out this good information, man. I'm waiting for your show on the body processes and things like that. Um, and then we're gonna get into
Yeah,
this history and clear up some of this other shenanigans going on, and just keep it moving, man. I hope that people are really learning and grasping and just making small improvements to their lives.
Fact.
thanks, thanks.
Yeah, man. But like we approaching that 2 hour 17 minute mark, man. We don't want to keep it too long. You know what I mean? Let the people, let this thing marinate for a while, man. This shit, we can make this a part one, man. Come back and continue on, because I don't think we covered everything as it pertains to addiction and dopamine. We got a good bit in today though. So I think.
Oh yeah, we didn't even really get into once you're an addict, what are some of the steps? Because she talks about some of the things that you can do to break the addiction, to ways that you can work around and do things about that. We haven't even touched on that part of it yet. So you know what I
True
mean?
indeed.
We actually did, but go ahead.
No, I remember you did. You touched on it, but we didn't have no deep dialogue on it. You know what I'm saying?
Then go ahead. You
No,
got 15
no.
more
No,
minutes. You
we
When
want to we
you
want to dive in, you damn.
yeah,
Hey,
especially
but
about that one thing when she talked about the dude. Kent did talk about the dude throwing a little sex machine in the trash and
yeah,
then going back and getting it right, and then
yeah.
he had to
I
go
mean,
and
we
take it
no,
talked
to
he
the
about
took
it.
it
dump.
apart, and threw it in the trash. Then got it out the trash, put it back together. Yo, that's crazy.
Yeah, and then she talked about the gamer who's down to 2 hours or 2 hours for 2 days a week or something like that. But then there's some other things that we haven't talked about.
Yeah, we talked about the receptor modulators or the opiate, the chemicals that block the opiate receptors. Remember, um, the trianox or whatever it's called.
Right.
So
But
yeah,
yeah, we
but we
got into
but we
that.
didn't deep dive, no. But
No, we
we
didn't deep
did talk
dive.
about some solutions like how to work with your addiction. Because once an addict, always addict. There's no like cure for addiction, but you can manage it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have to let it be known, like we not health professionals. I mean, Mac Rob is, but we're not giving no type of advice. Just to be clear, what I mean. If you're dealing with addiction or something of that nature, You know what I mean? Seek professional help. I just want to add that in there just for clarity.
Speak
But
for yourself. I have a
my
whole
bad. Shit,
criminology degree, kid.
I'm just talking about healthcare, man. You
Yeah,
know,
but I'm
shit.
saying like that's what I do advocacy. Like I
Oh,
am
okay,
an
shit.
ACE. I am an ACEs advocate. Like that's we take classes on that. It's not about giving out psychiatric help. You know, we don't have no psychiatric degree or anything like
Yeah,
that.
that's all I'm saying. You know, I
Addiction
just know.
professional would be somewhere under that. No, but as far as like aligning you with the proper tools so you can seek the proper help, yes, some of us can do that. That's all I was
Oh, well, speak for yourself, Queen.
drawing a line of demarcation. No, we're not doctors. There's some of us that work in the community that can provide you access to that. We do it all the
Well,
time.
well,
I
look,
mean,
I'm just
ACEs
saying.
is one step. I mean, we do it all the time, and I mean, I've constantly said to people like you have to utilize the resources, and a lot of us pro-black RBG, you know, black supremacist organizations, we don't necessarily want to do it because it's the white man this, the white man that, but you have to. You also have to be involved in the census, right? So your state can get the maximum amount of money it need to go to these certain programs. See, that's how the politics play into it. That's why it's important for us to vote and do um, things of that nature, right? So we can get the funding. Then we talk about little local elections, like being actively engaging your local politics. So you can be sitting on the board where some of these block grants go to, because as we notice, especially in the criminal justice system, is moving away from rehabilitative aspect to punitive, and that creates more societal problems. So we've been giving the solutions all day long. Like we're telling you where to go to buy the bread, where to go to get some clean water. You feel me? Um, so and that's the best we do, but people have to take the action on their own. And that's number one.
Yeah.
Enough said. Go ahead,
So
Mark. You was gonna say something?
no, I'm good. I'm good. I think this was a great show. I really appreciate us pseudo killers taking the time out to do it. You know what I mean? I think it's valuable, and I learn more every time we do the show, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to do it. And I am hoping that, as I said before, other people may enjoy it as much as me, and learn, and just do have a higher quality of life. Um, that's important. I think when you're able to have a higher quality of life and create a higher quality of life, it definitely matters. Um, it matters a lot. Um, I I did have an example I wanted to show, just to close out what we were talking about. Um, it's I think I put it on here already. Yeah. I'm share this right quick, Juju, so I can show them something from the video.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
So
That's
this
the
is
jump.
yeah. So this is an image of the damage done. When we was talking about how addiction works and things like that, and how it actually is not as simple as behavior, but it actually changes your brain. This is the dopamine deficit state. This is what we're talking about when we say when you're in that mode of addiction, and there's a steady state of firing of dopamine. When you get that big release from your addiction, or even just from reward behavior, um, it reverts back to a lower state than before, past homeostasis. And this is an image of just how um, these receptors for dopamine. You remember we talked about how neurons communicate with each other. Release neurotransmitters, and they bind to receptors on other neurons. Um, there's different types of receptors. D2 receptors are associated with addiction and rewards. And so this is the results of what happens in a steady state where you see control. You notice these are very similar shape sizes. You can see the high activity of the D2 receptors were dopamine receptors. There are different alleles that make these slightly bigger, larger, or more active. We didn't get into that, but certain alleles can have you be slightly more advantageous to become addicted. And there could be some epigenetics at play in that too. We didn't get to that yet. That's further along. But on the other side, you see the cocaine, the meth, the alcohol, and the heroin. And you can physically see how these D2 receptors activation are much lower. This is the state when we talk about when you go to get high just to get back to balance, right? Get back to the homeostasis. To get back to this normal firing, you have to be, because of how it works, we show the gremlins on one side and the reward on the other side. When it's at that low state, this is what you actually see. This is one of the issues that have to do with addiction. So I wanted to leave that out. I didn't want to lead a show without showing y'all some of the physiological changes in the brain through addiction. And she uses in this segment, she uses cocaine, heroin, but there's evidence for gambling, pornography, gaming. All these things have significant changes in brain regionals, D2 receptors. And so I just wanted to leave that with that.
True indeed, man. So without further ado, man, I think we're gonna close it on out. Man, I thank everybody for showing up, man, and joining us for the night show. And man, everybody have a good night. Peace out. Don't take us on up out of here.
Peace.